Sure. So let's begin with the Minnesota Mentor Program overview. This is a unique program because it is for teachers of low incidence disabilities only. And so you're not going to find a mentor program like that anywhere else. If you're in an intermediate or cooperative and there's other teachers of low incidence disabilities, you might be able to network with those. But this program is specifically for new teachers, but also people who are in geographically isolated areas. So if you don't have a cooperative, or even if you do, but you're not connected as often as you would like, or you want someone outside of your cooperative or intermediate, to give you a different perspective or some other ideas, that's what the MMP is for. Also, if you are new to teaching Part C, for example, and you teach deaf and hard of hearing students, but you've never had babies, we can pair you up with someone who has a similar experience or has those skills that you need. Same thing goes with Braille, or if you're moving from studying 3 to studying 4, which is very different. I know that I've had that experience before. So these are the areas of low incidence disabilities included: autism spectrum disorders, blind, visually impaired, deaf, hard of hearing, developmental cognitive disabilities, severe to profound, severe multiple impairments. We have people who have had experience with SMI. And then we've also had people who have experience with deaf-blind. The other hat that I wear is I'm the education specialist for the Minnesota Deaf Blind Project, as well as the statewide deaf blind specialist. So if you ever have any questions specific to deaf blind, you can email me. I've got that other hat on, and then I can send you information or connect with you. We also finally we have physical and health disabilities teachers, also called physical impairments. Last year, we had 30 mentors and 36 proteges. So sometimes you'll be with more than one protege, a mentor, only up to two, because we don't want to overload. We know that you also have a full caseload, most likely. Okay, let's keep going. I'm just going to check to see if everybody is here. Looks like people are coming in. What is the difference between mentee and protege? So you probably have heard the term mentee before, and you might be like, well, how is that different than a protege? So I did a little research. A mentee is just someone who's being mentored. A protege is someone who is protected, trained, or whose career is furthered by a person of experience, prominence, or influence. So a protege is, I would say, it's a little bit more intensive, more, but not time consuming, but more specific to your disability area. And having someone who's in the field, who's passionate, who has experience and is able to guide you and share resources and information, I think that just makes a lot of difference. I know that here in Minnesota, school districts are required to provide a mentor for the first year or two that you're in district. But typically, unless you're in an intermediate or cooperative, typically that is someone who is not in the same field that you are. And so that is more generalized mentoring. What are the district procedures for this? When do we have meetings for that? Maybe what are discipline procedures? Whereas if you need disability specific support, the Minnesota Mentor Program is where you can get that support. And then what is a mentor? A person who feels like they have a personal stake in the protege's success through a deeper, meaningful mentoring relationship. The word protege also implies more respect and the possibility of mutual benefit, whereas a mentee is rather neutral. So I have been a mentor for many years through the Minnesota Mentor Program when it was first established. And as someone who had been teaching for many years, I found that having a protege was invigorating. They maybe have access to new strategies, new information, new philosophies that made me think and then maybe put things in perspective, whereas I have other things that I can offer the protege. So it's mutually beneficial. Mentors also receive a stipend for their time, just like they do when they are mentoring in district. But the Minnesota Mentor Program is no cost to the district or the school. And so that is something that we're trying to get the word out, because we're still finding there's lots of administrators and districts and even teachers that don't know about the Minnesota Mentor Program. then sometimes people are like, well, how do you do the matching? I'm the person that does the matching. That is one of the reasons why I have people, when you are completing your application, there's certain questions that I'm asking, and I take a look at that information and to see if someone has requested someone in the same district or in the same region or not. Sometimes people want a different perspective. If they're looking, like I said before, if they're looking for a specific skill set, we had someone request this year. She said, I'm having a Braille student for the first time ever. I would like to be matched with a mentor who is very experienced teaching kids Braille. And so that is the priority. So I'll contact the mentors, review their application, and see what's a match. And then if someone has someone that they've requested, we try to honor those requests as well. Sometimes there's just a really good solid mentor-protege relationship going on, and they'd like to maintain it. We try to do that as well. And then I think we've already talked about this, but specific to working with deaf-blind students, sometimes people are like, well, I'm new to teaching deaf hard of hearing students, and I heard that I might have some deaf-blind students on my caseload. This is something I want to learn about. And then also curricula, like the STAR program for students with autism. And then these are your roles. I think it's really important to know what your role is as a mentor and what your role is as a protege. Now, this recording will be uploaded so that if you want to go back and review it, you can. It'll be in our learning management system so that you can watch it again, and as well as on the YouTube channel that we have for the Minnesota Low Incidence Project. But this PowerPoint will also be shared with you. So the mentor is the person who is leading. So they are responsible for the disability-specific activity log reports. So you both get a copy in the email, the matching email. You should have both gotten a link to that log, the Google form, as well as the PDF. Because I've found that some people prefer a PDF, print it off, or type it on their computer. They don't want to use a Google form. Other people prefer a Google form because they don't want to have to go back and upload that from the PDF. So the mentor is responsible for that. However, their proteges should have input because this is a relationship we are working together. And that happens throughout the school year. So starting now, if you've already started to meet, and then I typically ask for those forms to be sent to me the beginning of May, before things get too crazy, or by the end of May. Anyway, so the mentor is responsible for maintaining the activity log records. The protege is not responsible. The self-reflection via the SurveyMonkey, we want to know how the Minnesota Mentor Program, how this support is impacting. So we do that in the middle of the fall. Typically, I'll wait towards the end of October, beginning of November after things kind of calm down. And they're just on a SurveyMonkey, so it's quick, 5 minutes, self-reflective. And then also in April, the professional growth that you've observed in yourself. This is important because this activity is grant funded. We're always needing to report on goals for grants to continue. And then finally, like I said, I've mentioned before, the mentor is responsible for submitting the activity log, and the protege is not. Okay. Mentors and proteges are required to have at least 12 contacts. So this can be a text, it can be a phone call, it could be a video meeting. If you're in the same district or you are in close proximity, it could be an in-person meeting, but it doesn't have to be. Most of our mentors and proteges are at a distance, so we don't expect people to be meeting in person. And then you're expected to participate in the kickoff for the workshop or watch the follow-up recording, like I mentioned before. Those CEUs are available for you. If you have any questions, please contact me at any time. Those who are returning to MMP know that this project is near and dear to me. I absolutely have full belief in the impact of the Minnesota Mentor Program, and I want to make it work for everybody who is involved. So if you've gotten together with your protege and mentor, and then there just is no response, please reach out. I know a couple of years ago we had an email that was off. I had typed it in and it was off by one letter. And so after that was corrected, it's pretty rare. But after that was corrected, then the relationship was able to take off. I will be doing a check-in probably at the end of September, beginning of October, just to make sure you've had at least 1 or 2 contacts with each other. Most proteges are needing support at the beginning. However, we know that it can be overwhelming to have an additional person who is checking in. So make it as easy and comfortable as possible. Figure out that's what you're going to figure out when we have the meetings together, when we have our breakout sessions, that you can check in and say, what do you prefer? The mentors should be asking the protege what their preference is. Do they prefer text? Do they prefer phone calls? Do they prefer a video, an email, or all of the above? We know that life can get very overwhelming, especially if you have first year. Even if you're teaching out of field, um, it's not the same. You're still kind of figuring out, well, what do you need to know? What resources do you need? And then, and if mentors have any questions about what the expectations are, if they have any specific questions about the stipends, just feel free to reach out anytime. So who should make the initial contact? It should be the mentor. The mentor should be reaching out first. However, for the days, you can feel free to reach out too. But it is the mentor's responsibility, since they are receiving a stipend, that they should be reaching out to their protege at least by the end of this month. And then at least 1 or 2 times in September, because that's when things are really, sometimes that's when the support is needed. Then what is the term protege? Why is that used instead of mentee? Looks like everybody got that concept. And then who is responsible for completing and submitting the activity log? Only the mentor. Both should be looking at the document, and we've received a copy of it. So sometimes proteges will take a look at that document, the activity log, and they'll go, well, I really want to learn about this. Can we talk about this? And that will help the mentor know what to prepare for the protege. But it is the mentor's responsibility only for submitting that. And they're the only ones who are going to get a request to submit that to me in May. And then, yes, Gail Jankowski is often a person who will help coordinate things. If you've been in any of the communities of practice in Region 11 in the metro area, you're familiar with her name, but I'm your primary contact. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me. Okay. One-page descriptions. I'm going to be sending this to you as well in the follow-up email. An example of one-page descriptions are called one-page profiles. These are, I'm going to show you really quickly. This is a presentation that's from MDE. And I think it's really important that you consider making your own. It's a great way to introduce yourself. It may include hopes and dreams for the future, how to communicate with you, especially if you're new. And you're going to be, if you're an itinerant teacher and you haven't been an itinerant teacher before, you are almost like not an ambassador, but you can become the face of the district when you're going into different places. And so it's really important to make sure that people are understanding what's the best way to reach you, and then what's the best way to communicate with you. We typically don't do things I don't like, what's important to my family. This is for children. And so this might be something that you put together if you're working with students. These are some examples. I'm not going to go through each one. This is mine, just to give you an example of how to do one. What people admire about me, what's the best way to comfort and support me. You can do it that way. This was something that I showed with my team, my internal team, and I've done it also with people who I'm working with that are not on my team. So this is a picture of my family. What's most important to me: honest, direct communication, collaboration. I love to learn and read. So if you find something that you think would be helpful for the Minnesota Mentor Program, send it my way. I'm always looking for ways to improve and include more information. And then, yeah, this is my dog. Since then, this is a little bit old. This is my husband. We just celebrated 35 years of marriage last Monday. And then I also have a couple cats now too. So this is a one-page profile of a team. So sometimes this can be helpful. So if you're working in a cooperative, for example, an intermediate, and you have a team that is working often with a particular student, this might be something of interest too. So I'm going to exit that and go back here. And these are the different regions that I mentioned. You can do it for itinerant teachers, special ed teachers, with many providers. Sometimes people actually, they post them right inside their door where people come in. And they can be helpful for substitute staff, for paraprofessionals, for students. So if you have one for students, they can quickly get up to speed on the student's needs. Then these are some of the resources that are available to you. I will be sending this document via electronic form so that you can access the links. And then these are the specific activities logged in September. The mentor received the Google link form. You've already received it actually. But if there's someone else who's joining later, then they'll be receiving it by September. And throughout the year, the mentor initiates communication and the mentor completes the activity log. This is what it looks like, the Google link. And I should mention that it is personalized. So some people have more than one protege. They will have two separate links, one for each protege. And then here's the disability-specific log review. I think we're going to skip that because we just have a minute or two before we go in to our breakout rooms. And then this is what we're going to be doing. So let me go through and let's do a quick review. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll and share the results of what we have so far. Your disability-specific activity log is individualized, so it's a specific link for the mentor protege team. So mentors, you may want to bookmark it. I also included the PDF. You can download that. That's a fillable PDF. That, of course, is not individualized because that's not a link. And then if you've had a chance to take a look at the disability-specific activity log, there is a ton of things in there. And so you do not need to complete every single one. I remember when it was called a checklist when I was a mentor, and I felt a lot of pressure that I had to do every single thing in that activity, in that checklist. So I changed the name to activity log because it gives us some feedback that is important for grant reporting about what types of activities are important. Like the one I mentioned, subscribing to the listserv is super important. That gets you connected with your field. And then why should you subscribe? Because then you get the information that's specific to your disability area. For deaf-hard of hearing teachers, that might look a little different this year because Mary Cashman Bakken, the state specialist, is retiring on September 2nd. So that might slow down some of the information that's being shared. And then, do you plan to create one? And then there's a person who said she needs a little bit more information from her mentor. I hope that you talk with your mentor or reach out to me. Either one works. So I am going to stop sharing here. Now what we are going to do is, before I stop, I have the link to the Getting to Know Me document. I'm going to drop that in the chat. And what we want to do is we want you to identify your preferred communication method frequencies. I'm actually going to copy that and I'm going to send that to you via a message when you're in your breakout rooms. If you mentor a protege and then also share your goals for participating in the MMP, it's good to have that communication. What do you want to get out of this? And then if your mentor or protege is not here, you're going to be placed in a breakout room with others in the same field. So if you haven't yet been matched, please go to your disability-specific breakout room. Some people have joined late, so I haven't quite put them in there. And what I'm doing differently this year is that what's happening differently is that we are going to have put the names of the people that are in the breakout rooms. That's something that I learned that is helpful. And so find that breakout room. It's going to have the name of the mentor and the protege or the disability field if you are not matched. So let's go ahead and do that. And then I will be sending a message as far as what to talk about.